In this episode, listen to tips from Dina Kaplan on how she uses meditation for business success. Once named one of Fortune's most powerful women entrepreneurs and one of the 10 women of Web 2.0 by Fast Company, Dina's life was full of success and stress until she learned to use mindfulness and meditation to bring balance to both her professional and personal life.
Welcome back to the Leverage webinar and podcast. My name is Nick Sonnenberg, and today we have a very special guest, Dina Kaplan. She is the founder of The Path, upcoming retreat she's throwing called Mela, a meditation retreat in Sedona, which I am attending. Yeah. And just an awesome human being in general. We've been friends for years in New York. I've been to quite a few of her events, and they're awesome. So I wanted to bring her on and pick her brain about meditation, what you're up to. And, you know, I've always been interested in meditation. So I'm really interested to hear from you, you know, all the benefits of it and, you know, the different types of meditation, because I know there's a bunch of different types. But before getting into that, can you just give us a little bit of background on you and The Path and how you got into this?
Yeah, so pleasure to be here. Really excited to chat with you because you're awesome, and this great community of entrepreneurs and people building awesome businesses of every sort. So it's an honor and a pleasure to be here. And yeah, super excited to chat with you guys. I am the founder of The Path, but it was quite a path. Okay, I promise. I've actually never said that before, but it was definitely a path to get here. I used to be a tech founder. I was the co-founder and COO, so Chief Operating Officer, of a pretty fast scaling tech startup that was called Blip, or some people knew us as Blip TV. We were like an early version of YouTube. We were the platform for web shows, so for people creating original TV shows, essentially for the web, that were all serialized. We were very early, and we had no idea what we were doing. We were 5 first-time founders. But the company started scaling pretty quickly. We ended up raising $35 million in venture capital money. Yeah, it was
wow.
We did.
I don't know if I'm more shocked by the 35 million or 5 founders. I mean, one was tough for me, no less 5.
I know. Actually, we had some VCs that were super interested in the company, and they said it's never going to work with 5 founders. So it's funny that you noticed that. And pointed that out. Yeah, we actually ended up keeping all 5 founders for 6 years, which is a lot. By the end, we were like battle worn and bruised. It's funny because the company sort of break that we would take was paintball. We were all battle weary from running the company for so many years, even without.
You guys would be freezing the paintballs overnight to really get aggressive the next day with each other.
Actually, it was something that, in retrospect, like what a friggin' male sport that was in such a male-dominated company, male-dominated industry. It's funny to look back. I should have just taken all the girls out for like pedicures or something, although that's a little stereotypical. But we were definitely fierce on the battlefield, getting out our stress on the paintball fields on those expeditions. But yeah, it was a wild experience, Nick. We raised a ton of money, which meant we had a ton of pressure on us. And we did it. We built a top 50 website in the world. We had video views, which is it was a very real company. But with the story, in terms of my story and what led me to meditating and needing to take a 2.5-year trip around the world to get over the stress of that, was that I completely lost myself. I was okay the first few years, but as the company started scaling and it doubles in size and triples and quadruples and quintuples, you start to have to go from this fierce, break down the walls founder to being a manager and actually dealing and interacting with other human beings who are relying on you for their rent payments and their food. And I had, to be honest, I had no idea how to do that. And I looked around and I looked at all these successful founders that had gone from founder to being successful managers. And there was Peter Thiel from PayPal and Jeff Bezos from Amazon and Sergei and Larry from Google, Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook. And they were all dudes. Sorry, did you want to ask something?
No, I'm listening.
So I look around and I'm like, okay, if I want to be successful, I guess I need to act like a guy because all the successful founders are guys. And I had no idea what that meant. So I just guessed and I thought, oh, that's really tough and I need to work all the time. So really tough. I started working all the time and I wasn't myself. And being tough, I was ridiculously tough. If someone needed to come in late or they needed to take a day off or they needed to work from home because a babysitter didn't show up, or they had an important package coming, I would not let them, because I thought, oh, what would Larry and Sergey do? Now, probably Larry and Sergey would have been like, cool, dude, no worries. But I didn't have the confidence to do that. I was completely living in the should of what I thought a founder should do. And I thought I should be tough, so I was tough. What that meant, Nick, is that I ended up just suppressing myself completely. Like, I'm usually like, I'm playful, I can be funny, or at least try to be funny, generally pretty nice, or at least understanding. And I thought I couldn't do this stuff and be successful. And in losing myself, it ended up manifesting into something pretty serious. I ended up having panic attacks, and I ended up having panic attacks a lot. So, mind you, I have this outside persona that was pretty extreme on the positive side. I was named a Fortune Most Powerful Entrepreneur. I was speaking at the World Economic Forum, speaking at every conference you could think of, speaking at South by Southwest every year, which felt like that seemed important. Speaking at conferences everywhere from Monaco to Munich and Asia, all over. And my life on the outside looked really perfect. On the inside, I was just a mess. I felt like, I was like held up as this role model for founders, but I myself was playing a role the whole time because I didn't have the confidence to be myself. Mm-hmm. And it was like I was the star of this film called Imposter Syndrome, which was this role that I never wanted to play. And the manifestation into panic attacks was actually pretty extreme. So for 2 years while I'm in the press, literally every day, speaking at all these fancy events and running the operations of my company, I could not walk down a street in New York by myself at all, like not even once, because I lived in fear that I would pass out in the middle of an intersection and a car or a cab would roll over my body and I wouldn't even look good for the funeral.
Oh, wow. So your panic attacks were that serious that you would pass out?
So I wouldn't pass out. I would feel faint. I would feel like I was getting really dizzy, and I lived in terror that I would pass out in the middle of an intersection in New York, or wherever I was. I was having them all over the world. I was living this awesome life from the outside, giving speeches in Rome and Venice and Florence and this and that. I remember once I was on this tour of Italy organized by the State Department to help spark entrepreneurship in Italy. And I once got a gelato from my favorite place in Florence. Vivaldi.
Is it Badiani?
No, actually, I think it's Vivaldi or Vivaldi or something like that. I got this amazing ice cream. It was the one afternoon that I didn't have officials around me. It was my one afternoon off. I got this ice cream. I had a panic attack. I sat down on a curb and I couldn't walk back to my hotel for 5 hours.
Were you ever taking medication for this, or try to take medication?
I just didn't talk to anyone about it. I didn't even admit there was a problem to my doctor, my best friend, my parents, my co-founders. I just kept it all within me. So I never addressed it. Like I never brought it up to a doctor because I just thought, let me solve it like a good COO. I don't want to bug anyone with it. So I just took cabs everywhere I went, or made sure I had someone with me at all times to cross the street with me.
So what did you do?
So all ended up.
Are you still having this? Are you still having it? Or is that how you found meditation? And that's
good question. So this all culminated into standing at the corner of Broome and Lafayette. I needed to just cross the street to get to my office, like a 12-second walk across the street. And I remember leaning against a utility pole and just praying that the light wouldn't turn green because I didn't think I could make it to the other side. Oh, and I should mention this was the week that actually I was on the cover of the New York Times business section, like literally on the cover. And 2 days later, I'm standing at this intersection and I can't make it across the street. And in that moment, I just said, you know what? It's not worth it. Like all the fame or whatever you want to call that, little tech bubble fame, that and the hope of success financially was not worth not being healthy enough to make it across the street. And this was a moment. This is the moment that everything changed. It's the moment that I decided that it wasn't worth it. And I decided to leave.
I mean, I literally have goosebumps right now from this because I relate to your story in so many ways. We'll get into that later.
I know. It's actually, I feel like I'm like either having goosebumps or about to cry telling you this story. Yeah, I mean, it was a scary moment, and yet in a way it wasn't scary at all because it was just so clear that I had to get out of there. It's like I wasn't mindful at the time. My body was just reacting and saying, you know what, girl, you got to live in the exact opposite way in the exact opposite part of the world, and it's got to start right now. I think it was like my defense mechanism, something, maybe some angel like living in my body that second that just said, you got to get out. Like everything's got to change, and it's got to change right now. So I did a transition with the company, booked literally a one, flew 6 days and left everything behind.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
I ended up traveling around the world for 2.5 years.
Did you never though? It never. Why didn't it ever like? Why didn't you ever try to, instead of making such a drastic change, just try to do some like in between change where it's like, hey, I'm going to work from 9 to 5.
Right.
I'm going to turn my phone off after a certain time, and just like put some constraints around your work rather than totally. I mean, I'm not saying what you did. I don't disagree with what you did, but I'm just wondering why was that not in the cards compared to just such a 180?
So it's funny. I'm getting a knot in my stomach as I tell remembering the stress that I was under. What's about that moment? It's funny. No one's ever asked me that before, but it's a great, great question. What's funny about that moment is that it was beyond rationality. This was not a pro and con list. How do I try to be more mindful? I think this was my body saying, especially now with what I know about the body and the mind, this was my body saying, you got to get out of here immediately. Just done. And I think actually, I mean, maybe it's scary to verbalize this, but I think I saved myself from what would have been a sickness or something very, very devastating for the rest of my life. It was some saving mechanism that was, you've got to get out of here. You've got to get yourself to a friggin' like beach in Indonesia or Thailand. And you've got to learn to have the confidence to be yourself. And it's not going to happen in a gradual step.
So is it in Bali where you first started learning about the effects of meditation?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it's funny. I am now having panic attacks constantly, right? So this idea of going to Asia where I know no one and everything is super foreign, and I'd only, I think, been to Asia twice before, is non-obvious. That's why I say this whole decision was beyond rationality. It was just some thing in me that said, you got to get out and you got to try something totally, totally different. So it's funny. I land in Singapore. I'm there for a few days for a layover, and I'm literally holding on to buildings, praying that I'm going to be able to walk and I'm going to be okay, because I obviously don't have the support mechanism there that I would have had in New York. So I got through a few days in Singapore, made a ton of plans with friends of friends of friends, so that I wasn't alone a lot, so that I would be okay. I landed in Bali, thought it was going to be relaxing and beautiful and whatever your image of Bali is from Eat, Pray, Love or whatever else. And I was so strung out, I don't know what the word is, so stressed that it wasn't relaxing enough. It wasn't until I got to this little island of Gili Trawangan.
I've been there.
You have, and it's funny, it's known as a big party island, but I ran out to the beach on my first moment landing there, and there's this photo of me looking up, and I almost am going to cry when I tell you this story, but I felt like I'm going to get healthy again. It wasn't there. Oh, go ahead.
No cars, right? You have to ride around on.
There were no cars, and I just felt like with my feet, my ankles in the water, looking up at the sky, just water all around, because this is a pretty small island. It was like I saw that light at the end of the tunnel. I wasn't healthy yet. Oh my God, I'm gonna like start crying, but that was the moment where I knew that I could get healthy and that I was going to get there. It ended up being, until I stopped having panic attacks, I can tell you the moment where it really happened, but it was about 7 months. 7 months into the trip, but really it took a little over 2 years. And then I remember I had this moment. I was in Fiji at the end of the trip. And I woke up early one day and I ran on the beach, and there was no one around because it was early and everyone was partying in Fiji except for me. And I took a jog and I was by myself. And I remember I looked up, it was like 8:30 in the morning and there was no one around. And I looked back at my footsteps and saw that they were the only footsteps on the beach. And I realized that I had the confidence to walk and even to jog on my own. And I was healthy now and I was ready to return to the United States. And I was ready to start contributing to the world rather than just traveling and being on this process of getting healthy again.
That's a really awesome story. So how many years ago was that? And when did you get back to the US and when did you start the path?
Yeah, so I left for the trip December 21st, 2011. That moment in Fiji was at the And it was in 2000, end of 2013. Oh no, actually it was 2014. And the pivotal turning point of the trip was coming off a flight in India. I'd come from London. I actually spoke at a conference of all things. A tech conference. I was still on that circuit a little bit. I went from London, Bhutan, Myanmar. And at this point, I'd been to Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, all over Asia. I landed in India, though, and I'm scared. And there was a guy cute guy coming off the flight at the same time as me. And he said, "What's your plan?" I'm like, "I don't know. Kind of afraid to be in India by myself." And he said, "Oh, I'm going on a retreat. Do you want to come?" So I think I'm going on a date with a cute fellow traveler from Norway. He thinks he's taking me on a meditation retreat. I really have no idea what I'm getting into, but I say, sure, let's do it. So I go on this retreat super spontaneously with this guy. Never see him again because it's gender segregated and silent. And hysterical. On day 8 of this retreat, which had no soap, no toilet paper, it's 120 degrees, really very difficult time in terms of the logistics. But on the retreat, 87 hours into meditation, I have this insight that I've optimized my whole life to be popular, and it's not serving me. And on the retreat, I decide, it's like I had this moment of insight where this voice came to me and said, you're going to come out of this retreat a better person. Everyone should have the chance to do this and benefit in this way, but it doesn't need to be this hard. When you come back to the United States, you'll start a company, you'll bring meditation to the mainstream, you'll help former founders like yourself and fun and dare we say, and you'll start a company and call it The Path. And that was really the beginning of the company.
So what is The Path?
So The Path, which I started the month after I got back from the trip, we host weekly meditations. We're actually having one tonight, which we're about to sell out, which is really exciting. So we host weekly meditations based in New York. We have a teacher training program, so we certify people to teach mindfulness meditation, and we have another one that certifies people to teach compassion meditation, which I'm in right now, which is amazing and really profound. But the biggest thing that we've ever done, and that I'm super excited about and super excited to have you join for, Nick, is called Mela. It's a curated invite-only meditation retreat for founders, people growing businesses, and creatives. We have a bunch of people from Hollywood, film and TV producers coming, and I want to take them all in. We're bringing in 2 of the biggest teachers in the world, Sharon Salzberg and Will Kabat-Zinn. We'll take everyone on retreat. I've really never heard of anything like this in the world. It's very high-end, 5-star resort. It'll be super nice. It's very highly produced. We'll have sound baths and live musicians, lots of special touches. And I'm really excited to welcome the community that you've built at Get Leverage to join us on this retreat. And my hope is that we can help. The theme is conscious leadership. So my hope is that we can invite people from the Leverage community to come in, become more mindful, more conscious leaders, and spread that mindfulness throughout their companies and everyone they touch in their lives.
Actually, I belong to a mastermind group called Genius Network, and the guy that wrote Conscious Capitalism is in my group.
Wow, amazing!
Yeah. I'll tell him about this, maybe because you're saying consciously.
Yeah, that's the. Oh, I think I'm losing the audio.
Oh, did you miss that, Dina?
Yeah, I can't sing the audio and the video.
Okay, yeah, maybe turn your video off. All right, I'll re-ask the question. So what's the difference when you say mindfulness meditation versus compassion meditation? What's the difference? And furthermore, what are all the different types of meditations? How does one know which type they should be doing? I've looked at TM, or I've been really highly recommended TM in the past. I know it's been great for some people. But I just don't know, how do you pick what's the best one to do for you? And what are we doing at the retreat?
Yes. So it's a great question that you're asking. And a lot of people don't even know that there are different types of meditation, but there really are. And I would say that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different types of meditation in the world. Almost all of them are valid. And we would put them into 4 categories, and then we teach all 4. So the first category I can share with you and your community is called mindfulness. It's probably the best known type of meditation in the Western world. It usually means you're focusing on a single point, let's say the breath. So you might focus on the sensation of the breath as it comes in and out of your nostrils. Mindfulness is really great at releasing stress and also really great at teaching people how to be more focused. It trains the mind to be more focused. So that's my type of meditation. Some people call it transcendental or TM or Vedic meditation. It all means meditating around a mantra. So you'll be given a word in Sanskrit by a teacher, usually told not to share it. And you'll gently repeat this word to yourself silently in your mind's eye. And it helps to unleash your creativity. So mantra meditation is really good at making you more creative, both in solving problems for business or in creative writing. And it's also really good at stress release too. So that's the second type. A third type would be energizing meditation. You might have done an alternate side nostril breathing in yoga class. That would be energizing. You might have done breath of fire if you've taken Kundalini, something like that. Or some people will do move side to side. Those are all different types of Kundalini. Martial arts. These are all ways to bring natural energy into the body rather than having another cup of coffee. And a fourth type would be a meditation to accomplish a goal. So that could be more power. Often it's more compassion or gratitude. And on our retreat, we will do mostly mindfulness, but a little bit of compassion as well. Compassion both for ourselves and for other people.
So what was you said martial arts falls into a category of meditation. What was that category called?
Energizing.
Gotcha. So like if I go to the gym and do like kickboxing or a boot camp or something, you would call that a form of meditation?
I mean, kickboxing, I guess it a little bit depends on your mindset. I mean, these are gray lines, not black lines. But I would say for sure if you're doing karate, tai chi, qigong, these are essentially meditations through the body, and people who do them are meditation masters. I mean, it's extraordinary to spend time with people who are masters in these martial arts because their brains have been honed so finely through these martial art techniques. I
should have asked this question actually at the beginning, but before I ask the question, like I've always considered doing sports, or even I play chess a lot, and I find chess to be a form of meditation for me because my definition of meditation, which I don't even know if it's right. I'm curious to know what your definition of meditation is. But for me, it's doing anything that helps me to relax my mind and kind of reduce the noise. So I don't know, though, if that is what others think meditation is, or what is your definition of meditation?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it's funny. If you were to talk to the Dalai Lama, even if Dalai Lama were in my shoes and you're interviewing him, he would say, I'm meditating right now as I talk to you. He's very open with what he would consider meditation. I tend to be more conservative. So this is just my perspective. I have a lot of people that say, oh, meditation, I meditate when I run. And I smile and say, oh, that's called running. Nobody likes that. I do think that we're in such a world and a mindset of multitasking right now that I am tempted to say that meditation really is when you're focusing on meditating as opposed to running or doing chess. I do think the martial arts are in essence a training for the mind. Usually in Tai Chi or Qigong, you're moving quite slowly, and in the end, your mind is at least as effective as the body. So I would give these different categories different definitions. The definition of mindfulness that I would use would come from Jon Kabat-Zinn, probably the most famous teacher of mindfulness in the Western world. His son, Will, is guiding our retreat, Mela in Sedona, that we'll be on together. He says mindfulness is paying attention to the present moment without judgment. And so meditation is not about clearing the mind. It's actually about not judging when a thought comes in. Can we, over time, train ourselves to not judge having a thought and to actually not judge anything? So when you have a thought, you're just paying attention. Oh, how interesting, I have a thought. You can choose to let it float away And then you can gently bring your attention back to whatever the focus is. It might be on the sensations of the breath. Compassion will have a different definition. It'll be a different mindset. But in the end, what are we doing? I would say it's mind training. So perhaps I can center my definition around the focus of that moment is on mind training. I think that would knock chess out of the category and keep the martial arts in.
I guess it matters how you play chess. So if someone wants to get into meditation, obviously this retreat is going to be awesome, right? But that's quite a commitment too. I mean, that's for someone that's really serious, they want to get into this. But for people that are interested in meditation and want to take a baby step into it, what would be that first step into meditation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the first step would be to find a teacher. I think it's best if you can find one locally. If any of your community is in New York or LA or San Francisco, I invite people to email me, dina@thepath.com, or sit@thepath.com, and we'll help you find a teacher. I think it's really inspiring. I think every great teacher other than the Buddha has learned from a teacher. The Buddha taught a ton of people, and then they went on to teach a lot of people. It's quite inspiring to learn from a teacher because you learn you want to embody that the teacher has through their own trainings. And if for some reason you can't find one or you want to get started right now, right after this podcast, I would find a great teacher online. Jon Kabat-Zinn is extraordinary. Sharon Salzberg, Jack Kornfield, these are the real greats. For compassion, Sharon Salzberg, Jack Kornfield would be the masters in the world. And I would follow along with the meditation that they're guiding. You can probably find a great one on YouTube. And another step is, I guess I could teach people, right? Why not in 30 seconds or so? If you want to sit in a comfortable way, have your back be straight, top of the head facing up to the sky. And close your eyes. And a very gentle way to start, which I actually do every day, I've done every day for 7 years now, is just to bring your mind, your attention to focus on the sensation of the breath as it comes in and comes out of the nostrils. What do you feel as the breath enters and exits the nostrils? Does it feel tingly? Does it feel warm? Does it feel cool? Does it feel rushed? Does it feel relaxed? Just what sensations do you notice? And when a thought comes in, you can just choose to let that thought float away like a cloud and bring your attention very gently back to the sensations of the breath. And then when you're ready, you can just stretch your arms up and stretch your legs out. And there you go. You can actually just do that for 5 minutes.
Why is it all about the breath? Is there some neurological explanation that getting oxygen into your body does something in your brain, and that's why you're always focused on the breath? Because you could focus on rubbing your fingers, you could focus on wiggling your toes. Why is it always about focusing on breath coming into your body?
Oh my God, I love your questions because that's really thoughtful, and I've actually not had someone ask that before.
Now we just did a meditation, so now I'm asking better questions.
To be honest, it's somewhat randomly chosen. It's something that's always there. Yeah, and you're actually not supposed to change the breath at all. You're not supposed to breathe more quickly or less quickly. So you're not bringing in more oxygen or less oxygen. This is an exercise purely of your mind. So some people, if you were to read the Dalai Lama's book on how to practice, which is how I started, he would say you could also just look at a candle a foot or 2 feet ahead of you, and with a soft gaze, focus on that. Another way to do it would be, we expand this, the view of this, you could place your hand on your stomach. It's still the breath, but you're in essence just focusing on what it feels like as the breath makes your hand move in and out as you breathe in and out. So it could be that. The breath just happens to be there. And the reason you're not moving your fingers is because then you're moving your fingers, whereas the breath is just an exercise of the mind. And it's always there, and you're able to just focus your attention on something. Another thing you could do would be to focus on the sensations in your body. That's just a tiny bit more advanced.
I guess you have to breathe to live. So it's like you want to do as little, I guess you want to do as little as possible outside of, what is essential. So breathing is essential, but moving your fingers isn't. So maybe that's.
Right. So, I mean, with the breath, just again, to be super clear, if people are using this as a practice, which is a beautiful practice, like I said, I do it myself every day. You're not changing the breath at all. You're simply attuning your mind to something. Another thing you could do, we have a wonderful teacher for the path, Ellie Bogard, and she says to focus your mind on what you feel, literally the sensations that you feel in your thumb, and then move on and focus on the sensations that you would feel in each of your fingers, and then bring that attention to the sensations that you feel in your whole hand. And then move from whichever hand you're on. If you're on your right hand, move to your left hand. So it's what you're doing is just training the mind to focus on something.
Okay. That's really awesome. So where can people find out more information about you and the path?
Thank you. Yeah, please get in touch with us. So if you have any questions about meditation or a way that we can help your practice, if you have questions about Mela, if you want to join us on retreat or you want to join us in New York or anything, we also do events in LA and San Francisco and sometimes around the world. Went to Kazakhstan to guided meditation, so you never know. Please email us at sit, S-I-T, which is another way to say meditate, sit@thepath.com. You can also email me, Dina@thepath.com, D-I-N-A. And if you want to join us for Mela, you can just go to thepath.com or it's thepath.com/Mela, M like Mary, E-L-A. The password is sit, like meditate. If you want to join us for one of our Tuesday sits, if and when you're in New York, we have one tonight. We have 2 spots left before we sell out. That's on the site or thepath.com/Tuesday, like TUES -PM. But you can just go to our site. We're super responsive, and we have this mission of spreading meditation. So if we're connecting you with a teacher that's in Boulder or Atlanta, wherever you are, we're happy to try to do that, and really just want to spread meditation in the world so that no one goes through what I went through as a founder.
Thank you so much for your time. This was really awesome, and I look forward to seeing you next month in Sedona.
I know, thanks. It was really great. You asked amazing questions. I love your community and what you're building. And if we can help create leverage in people's minds so that they can spend less time working and more time with their families or doing things that are fun for them, that'll be a gift.
I mean, like in the end, like we're both solving similar problems from different angles, right? Like we're trying to help people de-stress by taking away things and have other people do things. You're trying to de-stress by meditation. But in the end, it's both helping people enjoy their lives more.
100%. Let's get leverage together. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.